Unsyndicated presents What the Puck with Sean Baligian.
What is up? Wednesday night. So glad you could join us wherever you may be. And we are so glad to be doing this during the off season. Mike, I can't say enough about the coaches who have been so giving of their time. And you know, this helped pass the time until the next season starts as well. Michigan High School Hockey Coaches Association, just fantastic. Doing so many great things. And of course, the players doing so many great things. This is a series we're calling The Proven Path, and talking about the benefits of playing high school hockey and just how many players have been able to move on in their career. He is Mike Iavasile. I'm Sean Baligian. We have a very special edition tonight of this series that we're calling The Proven Path. I've said it many times. I say it during football season. I say it during hockey seasons. No disrespect to anybody else. One of my favorite areas of the state, that Houghton Hancock area, just absolutely beautiful, great people up there, and certainly two great representatives of Houghton and certainly the game of hockey in our great state. The current coach, Mike Stipich, and of course the former coach, Corey Markham. Fellas, it's always a pleasure to chat with you. I know we do a lot of chatting via text and things like that, but to have this opportunity and you guys to be so giving of your time, really, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having us on, Sean.
Yeah, thank you. This is what you guys have been doing has been awesome. I've been watching and all the episodes, and putting the highlight on the high school like you have is just, it's so does so much for the game of high school hockey, and it's just great.
All right. And Corey, you say you've been watching, so you know what my first question always is. It is not only are we talking about the players, but we're talking about these coaches and yourself, a past coach. What was your pathway to getting to coaching high school hockey, and why did you choose high school hockey?
My pathway to coaching was, when I felt that's what I wanted to do when I was in high school, that I wanted to become a coach. I went to college with the intention of becoming a teacher, but the main reason I was going in to be a teacher was to be a coach, more than anything. And it just so happened that when I got done with my college courses and my student teaching, that a part-time job opened at Houghton, of all things. I got in part-time in the winter, and then my next year I was in at Houghton, and assistant job opened up, and I got the full-time assistant under Don Miller, who was a legendary coach at Houghton. And then he retired after 1 year, and I was a 25-year-old head coach after that.
Excellent. Micah, how about you? What was your pathway leading you to where you're at right now, the head coach of Houghton? And again, why high school hockey?
Yeah, it's a little bit more of a windy road than Corey's, back from when we were roommates at Northern Michigan, Corey and I, and growing up playing together. My first coaching experience was actually with Don Miller as well. I was a junior high track coach with him after when I was in college as a freshman. But hockey coaching, other than some hockey school stuff here at Michigan Tech, I was living in Whistler, British Columbia, and they had a non-parent coach rule after Bantams, once kids hit Bantams. So a buddy of mine recruited me to help him, and then I ended up being a head coach out there. And then when I moved back to Houghton, Corey invited me to help him out, which I did for, I think it was 7 years, and learned a lot, and really just enjoyed that time with Corey, and really grateful for all that experience.
Before we start talking to some of your players, and I want to remind everybody, that's why we're doing this. Heck yes, we love talking about the product. We love talking about each city, but we like telling people out there, and dare I say some prospective players, that there's a path for you to move on. Certainly Houghton is one of those teams, and we're going to talk to some of the players that have had the opportunity to move on. I say it all the time, guys, and I mean it in all sincerity. And Michael, we'll start with you this time. You've got a special community. Every time I go up there, you know, whether it be the mighty Gremlins, whether it be Michigan Tech, a special community and a very special barn as well. Can you talk about the community and what the Gremlins mean to the community, Micah?
Yeah, for sure. You know, I think we're a bit of an endangered species, to tell you the truth, up here in the UP. Having a community-owned rink like the Dee Stadium, and the other Western UP teams have a community-owned rink like that. That's part of keeping costs low. Kids grow up wanting to wear the Gremlin jersey. You know, we had our Bridge Fest parade earlier in June, and we had some little guys, and their dream is to play for the Houghton Gremlins, and then hopefully maybe Michigan Tech, like some of our alumni have done. And we're really fortunate to have that type of an environment. We have our challenges too, being way up here, but our costs of playing are low. Kids, like, hockey's the number one sport. Our community is really supportive. We have a Division I team here, and we have a great following, and we're just really fortunate.
Corey, I want to ask you the same thing, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention all of our mutual friend, Jimmy Young. He told us when we were doing a game up there for you guys a couple of years ago, he said, make sure you bundle up. That's an understatement. We had to go into the D, and we decided to warm up by going outside to where it was snowing, and we were legitimately warming up. But all jokes aside, and I'm being sincere when I say that, it really is one of the most venerable barns you're going to find anywhere in our great country.
It really is. It's the oldest in the country. You know, the birthplace of professional hockey happened there. Like, how many places can say that? It is unbelievable. It's it could use a little more upkeep and things like that. We'd love to get some new boards and glass and things like that instead of the netting that's there. But the barn is just so iconic, and the legendary people that have played there, you think about all the time. The cold, you are 100% right. There is many days it is colder in the rink than it is outside and it's, you know, for me, I did it for 25 years, and I'd spend an hour and a half on that ice, and you get off, and if you don't have a sauna at home, you're in trouble. And the one thing I know that Micah did this year, you know, everyone has their own thing. He's a little bit smarter than I am. I didn't realize it in 25. So he does like a 45-minute shift, has them flood, comes warm up, and then does another 45-minute shift. So a little bit smarter than me.
I still dress like I'm ice fishing, though.
Oh, you have to. You have to. I have said it. That I think it's one of the biggest home ice advantages that I know of. Everywhere we go, anytime we're with a team and Houghton comes up, they talk about the D. So let's stick right there, and I'll stick right with Corey. What is your most favorite D memory?
You know, there's a lot of them over all the years, but the biggest one that sticks out of mind is our rival game with Hancock is called Wing Ding, and it's an absolute packed barn. We were down 3-0 going into the third period, and we came back, scored 3 in the third to tie it up, and then Dawson McKay scored in overtime on a breakaway to win it 4-3, and the place just went nuts. And like, that memory is, you know, emblazoned in my brain forever.
All right, Micah, how about you? What about that D memory?
That's a tough one. You know, we had some memorable games this past year, but really, you know, growing up playing there is when I think about memories, I think about, you know, when it was even a smaller rink, when they still had the old balconies. We hosted some state tournaments there. And so my memories go back to the 80s.
A lot of success with the Gremlin program. There's no doubt about that. And a lot of the players, as we have mentioned, have been able to move on. We're going to be talking to a few of them tonight. While we're on that subject, why don't we welcome in the first guest? He is a 2014 graduate, second all-time leading scorer at Houghton. That's saying a lot when you think of the long and illustrious program that the Gremlins have. Let's welcome in Connor Hannan. And first of all, Connor, really, really appreciate you taking the time tonight and joining us here on this proven path. How are you, sir?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Excellent. Now let's start. I shouldn't ask, how are you? I should ask, where are you? To let people know you've been able to continue your career. Where are you joining us from right now?
Well, I'm actually joining us from Houghton, Michigan today. So back home for the summer.
Yeah, and you're playing over in Germany. Tell us what that experience is like.
Yeah, went over there kind of on a whim. Ended up playing a few years, going into my 5th year now. So a cool experience being able to live for 8 months out of the year in Europe and continue to play hockey and make a career out of it.
That's excellent. Excellent. So let's start at the beginning of your journey, your pathway. Where did you begin playing hockey? Were you playing just the youth there at Houghton? And then when you chose, why did you choose to play for Houghton, and where did you go after?
Yeah, I would say I have one of the more unique career paths as far as to get to the professional level goes. I actually started over in Germany when my old man was playing over there. And then just when I was about 4 or 5, we moved back home to Houghton here, and then played junior hockey here throughout. Was fortunate enough to make the team as a freshman at Houghton High, and then played my 4 years there. After Houghton High, it gets a little scratchy. I actually quit hockey for 3 years. Didn't go play juniors. Ended up just playing men's league, local men's league, and for the Pioneers, local men's league team. And then went to Finlandia University, and I kind of just walked on there. Actually started coaching with Corey before that. That's kind of how I got back into hockey, just as a volunteer assistant. And then walked on to Finlandia. After that, I decided if I was going to try and play, might as well try and make a career out of it. So,
wow, that is one of our more unique pathways there. That is excellent.
Connor, it's so funny. That's something that we talk about every show. Is no two paths are the same. It can go this way, it can go straight up. But I think that's an interesting story. And to get that opportunity, in essence, in your own backyard, to play at Finlandia. I mean, how did that come about? Did you just say, hey, you know what, I'm going to walk on? How did that work out with you ended up being at Finlandia? And for people out there that don't know, you eventually wore the C up there as well.
Yeah. So it kind of, like I said, it kind of all started with coaching. I think I met Corey in Green Bay at one of Camden's games. They were playing travel hockey there, Phantoms or Pee-wees or something like that. And we were just talking about hockey and talking about everything. And he said, you should just come out and jump and push some pucks. And I did. And yeah, I guess kind of the rest was history. I kind of felt that love for the game again. And then decided to, and I knew the coach pretty well, Joe Burkhardt, who coached at Finlandia for many years. And I just kind of said, like, hey, I'm looking to go back to school and maybe play some hockey. And he just kind of said, what number do you want to wear? And yeah, gave me a little quick tryout. And then all of a sudden I was on the team. And from there, yeah, very fortunate and going into my 5th year of pro. So
unbelievable.
So where you're at now and the journey you've taken, when you can think back to when you played your high school hockey at Houghton, and then you moved on and played at the different levels that you did, what was the biggest thing you had to adapt to, be it the speed, the size, or what, when you made that jump from high school hockey?
Yeah, for me, I was always like really undersized, which was tough. And I think I came into my freshman year weighing under 100 pounds.
Wow.
So for me, I always kind of knew how to play small. And then I think after that, it was kind of just being able to play a little bit more physical. You know, I've never been able to do it before. And then you see, once you get to the higher levels, everything is more physical. And I think that was just my biggest stepping stone was, you know, getting in the gym and trying to, you know, bulk up a little bit. And then obviously the speed of the game is just different at different levels. And that's kind of why I play in Europe, is because you play on Olympic sheet and you slow it down a little bit. And that, you know, you can play with your feet and your mind. And I think that style of play suits me better, less run and gun and a little bit more with.
I can see how you could put on some weight playing for these coaches. I mean, if they were giving me that venison jalapeno cheddar,
that was so
oh
good.
my goodness
so
gracious,
good.
I'd put some weight on as well. Coach Finger and Micah brought us some, and that was outstanding. Hey, you know, before we let you go, Connor, and again, we can't thank you enough. Connor Hannan, 2014 grad of Houghton and playing over in Germany now. What would you tell a young player about your experience? I mean, it is an honor to wear that jersey. It is an honor to be a Gremlin. And, you know, maybe there's a kid out there, Connor, right now who's saying, yeah, I could go play here. I could go play there. What would be your sell in regards to telling that young player to stay at home and play for your hometown team?
Yeah, I mean, I've played for a lot of teams with a lot of guys, but there's nothing like playing for your hometown, playing for your friends, playing for your school and your community. You know, even when you're in high school, you're learning how to become a man and that kind of stuff. And everywhere you're going, people are talking about you, talking to you. It's just really cool to be able to perform and leave it all out there for those kind of people. And obviously it's people that have been around your life growing up the whole time. And there's nothing like wearing the Gremlin across your chest and just representing your school and your friends and your community. Nothing like it.
I got to ask one more question because I'm always fascinated. Okay. And I've had conversations with the coaching staff about this. All right, Connor, Lions or Packers? Which side of the fence do you fall on?
I mean, there's only one answer to that question, and it's the Green Bay Packers.
It is. It is.
Gave him a lob softball, didn't I?
Put that right on the tee for him.
It'll be fun to see those two teams the next few years as well. Hey, Connor, seriously, appreciate you taking the time. Wish you continued success. It's awesome to hear stories like yours and to hear the joy that you're having with the game. Continued success. Really appreciate you joining us.
No, thanks for having me, guys, and appreciate all you guys do for high school hockey in the state of Michigan. Got people following from Germany now, so got fans all over.
Fantastic. Really appreciate that. Connor Hannan kindly joining us. Hey, come on, Coach Markham, Micah, I had to get in that Lions-Packers question. And, you know, when we were up there a couple of years ago, we sat in the locker room just talking about football. And it was like, oh, yeah, we got a hockey game to go. Yeah. But some big football fans. Is it mostly, before we move on to our next guest, you guys have been there for a while. Is it mostly Packers up there? Is it split? How would you describe how it is up there on the eve of football season?
In the Copper Country, I would say it's probably 60-40 Packers, maybe even 70-30 in that range.
Wow.
Definitely, it's just that proximity to Green Bay is so close. We're 3.5 hours to the stadium. And growing up our age with Micah, the Packers were the team that were shown on the local TV station. It wasn't the Lions. And so it was easy to be a Packer fan over a Lion fan.
Oh, isn't that the truth? Yeah. This franchise has cursed me my entire lifetime. Are you kidding me? But of course, we are talking hockey. A mutual friend of ours, we'll call him Mr. Larson. How's that? Talking to the Best Puck Pod and a couple of good buddies out there. Say hello to the family as well. Let's bring in our next guest, Ray Bryce, also a 2014 grad, tied as the all-time leading scorer at Houghton. More on that in just a couple of minutes. But Ray, really appreciate you taking the time and joining us here. I mean, first things first, I mean, I'm sure there's party that's going, really? Was that 10 years ago? Tell us about how that is to hear 2014 and realize it was 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think our class just had our 10-year reunion. I wasn't able to make it, but yeah, crazy where time goes. And you would think when you're in high school and somebody else is 28, like they're an adult, and I'm 28, and I'm like, I don't feel like an adult yet.
Well, good. So we're going to take you back to 2014. Let's talk about your decision to play high school hockey. Why did you choose high school hockey? And then where did your path go after Houghton?
Yeah, I think for me, like, doesn't really matter. And, you know, which kind of path you take is as long as you're willing to put in the work. You know, there's a ton of opportunity in high school hockey, and ice time and puck touches and practice time versus AAA. And there's always that argument, right? But for me, like, high school hockey is great. It's a great opportunity for kids to go to school, play for their school, be involved in the community, see faces at their games, stuff like that. So I think it's, you know, it's just an awesome thing for student athletes, you know, to get that full experience while going and playing for their school.
I'm going to ask you the same question. I'll ask all three of the players the same question. I mean, there's something special about the D. You hear about it. You finally go there. It's such an awesome experience. I tell people all the time, hey, listen, make sure you check that place out. What was that like? Even though you grew up around it, you were probably there 1,000 times. To wear that jersey in that building, that had to be a special feeling.
Yeah, it's super cool. I just had a guy out here in Philly, met with him this week, and he's from Sault Ste. Marie, and the first thing he asked me was about the D in Houghton. So super special rink. Anytime, you know, you talk to somebody or whatever about playing there, and they're like, how's the rink? You know, it is a special rink. It's a special barn. It's got that feel where you belong to Houghton hockey and you play at the D. Like, it's truly home ice advantage. Yeah, super special place. It's got a ton of character. The more you play there, the more you learn the bounces, and it's really cold too, obviously, right? So other teams come in there, I think their toes are freezing after the first period, where we've been out for practice for 2 hours and we're fine, right? So
great. So we have a bunch of seniors that just graduated, and we're getting close to August. Training camps for junior teams are coming up, so a bunch of them are going out there. When you made that jump from high school to the NA, what was the biggest adjustment you had to make, and what advice would you give to those players heading to training camp in August?
Yeah, the biggest advice is, like, going to camp is just be yourself, play to your strengths. You're recruited to come to camp for a reason. Those coaches know your strengths. A lot of kids go into camp trying to impress, and it usually doesn't end up working out well. Just play to your game. Play, you know, if you're a third line player, play that role, and that's where you can try and fit it on that roster, right? So it's just important to do what you do well, and you know, show your strengths off, and try to, you know, eliminate your weaknesses in your game.
Ray Bryce kindly joining us, 2014 grad, tied for all-time leading scorer at Houghton. You know, Ray, we talk about the proven path and how everybody's got their own path, but yours is more of that traditional path, you know, where maybe a guy goes and plays at the NAL, maybe mix in the USHL, and then the opportunity comes up to continue playing at the collegiate level. I'm sure the decision was easy for you, considering it was your own backyard. But can you tell us about that process and how many teams, you know, came reaching out saying, hey, we'd really love for you to come play for our school?
Yeah, my second year in the NAL, I had a really good start. Unfortunately, I got suspended, and I ended up committing during my suspension. I don't know if I would have committed. I kind of went on a cold streak after my suspension. But, yeah, just – like I said, had a really good start, was talking to some schools. Michigan Tech, I was supposed to actually get traded to the USHL. The trade didn't go through. And that's kind of how I ended up committing, and kind of a roundabout story and a long story. But that's a story for another time. Yeah, talked to Michigan Tech, knew that I wanted to go there. They offered me a spot and whatever. And for me, it was a no-brainer. You know, you grow up watching Division I university in town, and yes, on the spot. I think they called me the next week, and Mel Pearson was the coach at the time, and I ended up committing, you know, via phone or whatever, and didn't need to go on any visits or anything. I knew what it was about. Knew some players actually from skating with him in the summers and working out with him. Yeah, super easy decision. I think when you get the opportunity to play for your hometown, no matter what the circumstances are, and play for your community, and Michigan Tech's a special place. So yeah, just really a no-brainer. I love my 4 years there. It was an awesome time.
And we've talked about the community in Houghton, and I know we've gone up there and called some games. And when we're up there, they're asking us questions. They're in it. These fans are passionate. What is it like, and what does it mean to put that Houghton Gremlins jersey on, step on to just an iconic ice rink in front of your friends, your family, and that community who is so passionate about hockey?
Yeah, and I think Corey touched on the wing ding. It just shows the care in the community that they have for the game and their school, right? It's a super passionate community. They're passionate about what they do and where they come from and their heritage, which is super important. And I think, they show that in hockey. Like I said, it's special to be able to play in a community where people show up and care about their school and are willing to support you. And like I said, it's awesome to see fellow students in the stands and people that you go to class with during the day. And then, they're supporting your back and your team at night. So, it's high school hockey is an awesome experience, for that reason.
Ray, you got a chance to go play in the ECHL and now you're in Philadelphia. I think a lot of people certainly around here are familiar with TPH. We've got certainly a lot of mutual friends involved. Tell us about what you're doing for TPH in the Philadelphia area now.
Yeah. So, I work as the head of hockey here at TPH Philly.
That's awesome.
We actually just acquired a company called Method Hockey, taking them over, and we're starting academy in the fall, and our academy is a virtual blended experience for 6th to 12th graders, where they come in, do an hour of school, they'll do video with me. I'll skate 2 groups on the ice. They'll go see a sports performance coach, and then they'll go to school virtually for the second half of the day. Kind of the idea actually started in Detroit. And the idea is to allow players, hockey players have crazy schedules, and they can still go to school while traveling and doing all their things and honing their skills on their sport. So the idea behind TPH is really taken off. And I think there's 21 locations across North America now. So it's been a really fun. I've been here 4 weeks now and learned a ton already. I knew it's a good stepping stone to get into coaching. And I know I want to, be a coach someday and try to learn as much as I can. Just hired a guy out here named Paul Healy, played for the Flyers, the Leafs a little bit, and have learned a ton. He's been coaching minor hockey for 15 years, AAA hockey in Florida, and he's kind of been all over. So just trying to soak it in and learn as much as I can and, teach the next generation of players. And I'm fortunate enough to work with some really good athletes here. And it's been really good so far.
So we've been doing this show now for about a month and a half. We've interviewed a lot of players, and almost every player that's moved on from high school to juniors to the NC2A, be it Europe, be it the NHL after, they all talk about having to face adversity. And everyone faces adversity, whether it's a trade or whether it's not getting dressed in the game or you're not scoring at the same rate that you used to. Did you face any adversity in your pathway? And then how did you cope with that?
Yeah, I think my freshman year, I played 3 shifts. Got hurt my 3rd shift. I played January 20th. I'll never forget the day. I was super pumped. My first game, got out there, took a bad hit kind of on the blue line cutting in, and never really played after that. My season was kind of over. I blew up my shoulder, had a bad concussion. But before that, I wasn't playing much either, and I wasn't going to be in a ton. It was probably the hardest time in my career. You're playing in your community, you get a lot of questions. Why aren't you playing? People want to know answers, especially being in your hometown, stuff like that. But I think, the key to that and just getting over that is all it takes is all you've got every day and just getting better every day and focusing on what you can control is the biggest thing for me. You can't really listen to outside noise and stuff like that. And just staying focused on your goals and working on what you can control.
Ray, true story. You talk about how people in your community, how much it means. True story. I come up there every other year. I broadcast Wayne State football games. Every time I'm in the press box, inevitably, I'll have at least 5 people say, "Hey, what do you think about the Gremlins this year?" It's amazing. And I'm looking around going, we're at a football game. But no, really, it is the Gremlins are just part of the DNA of that community.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, part of that community is Houghton has done a really good job with their education program. I think they do a great job with involving Michigan Tech in their school system. I know a lot of professors' kids go there and stuff like that. So Michigan Tech and Houghton and the Gremlins are pretty intertwined. And, I think that both schools do a good job of supporting each other and and leaning on each other a little bit.
Ray Bryce, kindly joining us, 2014 grad. Hey, continued success to you. I'm hoping sometime a guy like you ends up back in the ranks around here, and we're interviewing you as a coach somewhere, someplace one day. But until then, continued success to you, and really appreciate you taking the time.
Awesome. Yeah, no, thanks for having me on. And I appreciate what you guys do for high school hockey. We never really had this when I went to school, but I'm able to jump on Facebook, Twitter, whatever, and I always see you guys out there and watch your videos. And those athletes deserve that media coverage and stuff like that. It's a special state to play hockey in. And I was talking to a kid about Pennsylvania high school hockey, and I said it doesn't. He's making fun of Michigan high school. I said it doesn't even compare. So, but it's awesome what you guys do, and keep up the great work. And your marketing and media is unbelievable. So. Super happy that you guys had me on, and super thankful.
Well, really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Ray.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thanks kindly joining us. Hey, before we get to our next guest, I would be remiss if I didn't talk to Mike about the schedule. Mike, I got a sneak peek at the schedule.
Okay.
And every year there are certain schools out there, Houghton certainly one of them, that, anybody, where do you want us to go? Do you want to come up here and play? Mike, it really seems to me, I was looking at your schedule right before we went on. You guys really ratcheted up this year. What has you excited about this slate for 24-25?
Yeah, Corey had been improving the schedule every year, and really started, he and some of the other local coaches had really started to get other teams to come up into the area. And so we're hoping to continue that trajectory. We're making another trip downstate this year. You can see that when we go to East Grand Rapids. They have a West Side Showdown that I guess I might be breaking the news on. There's so many games just on the west side of the UP here. We've got a home and home with Marquette that's going to be exciting over Thanksgiving. Hancock's our rival. I think we're going to have some battles with Calumet this year. The toughest week of the year, in my opinion, is we have a Tuesday game against Calumet, and then we go Friday, Saturday against Heartland and Trenton.
I have a feeling we might have some state champs people up there that weekend. I'm just going to go out on a limb, Coach. I think we might have some state champs people up there. And no, you know what? And this, Corey, this goes back to your time, and obviously you're still close to the program, but there's no shortage of getting teams that want to go up there. I mean, I think they understand the history. I think they understand the class with your program. It is a special trip for so many people to make that trip up to Houghton, Coach Markham.
Yeah, and the start of that is Brighton is the granddaddy of the teams that started the trek up to the UP, and they had a connection with family up in Calumet, and they started that. But since they were in, Novi was shortly after, and now Heartland has been a long stretch. And when you're getting state powers that are willing to come up and they're bragging about what an awesome time they have on their trip and all their experiences, it just builds off that. And so other people want to experience it, and they want to see what the Copper Country is all about, and our type of hockey. And it's always a little bit different than generally they play downstate. And so it's really grown, and we've had tons of interest and again, most of the top teams in the state willing to come experience the hockey in the Copper Country.
Two of the best guys out there, as far as I'm concerned. We got Mike Stipich and, of course, Corey Markham, the current coach, the former coach. They're longtime coaches together and friends as well. One more guess, and as we mentioned when Ray Bryce was on, he is tied for the all-time scoring leader at Houghton with this guy. And boy, it doesn't seem like that long ago that we watched this guy do his stuff. The only Mr. Hockey winner from Houghton. There was no doubt in our minds he was going to be able to continue his career, and it's far from over as well. But let's welcome him in, 2023 grad, Cam Markham, kindly joining us on the show. And Cam, it's been far too long, but we've been following your career. I think I speak for a lot of people with great interest, but thanks so much for joining us tonight. How are you?
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me. I'm doing good.
Hey, Cam, tell us about this transition for you, because, again, for guys like us, it's like, wait a second, wasn't he just at Houghton 2 weeks ago? We're a year, 3-4 months removed. Tell us what you've been up to since then.
Yeah. So, after my senior season of playing hockey, I went virtual school, and I went down to Eagle River, and I finished the season out with the Wendigo practicing, and I got a couple games in there. So that was big. And then started last year, I started the year in Wendigo, at the Wendigo, and then around Christmas time I got traded to the Austin Bruins.
All right.
And
Go ahead.
now a couple to start of summer I got traded again to a new team in the Null called the Watertown Shamrocks, where the assistant coach for the Wendigo got the head coach job there. So, and he traded for me. So it'll be a good opportunity.
Yeah, you'll be joining Jackson Walsh there, I think, this week in camp, and wish you both good luck. But if we could get back to that start, I can only guess your dad's the coach of why we chose to play high school hockey, right? But you graduate, you leave, and like you said, you went and got some practices in with Wendigo. What was the biggest difference when you made that jump from Houghton to the Wendigo?
I would probably just say the speed. Really, it's not even the skating speed. I think it's just having the ability to think the game at a higher level and make plays at a faster rate than really you've ever had to. And it just a lot of reps, and that's really all that can help you out in that situation.
Camden Markham kindly joining us here. Again, we can't thank the Michigan High School Hockey Coaches Association enough for letting us do that and helping us pass the time until the season starts. Camden, I have to ask about your beginnings as well. Obviously, with your father, lots of people in your family, extended family, playing hockey. But talk about your experience playing in the backyard and growing up in a rink like the D, and finally being able to put that Gremlins jersey on.
Yeah. It all truly started. We used to have a rink in our backyard, and I started skating on that, but always going to my dad's games and everything. Like Connor and Ray are two guys that I looked up to. Like, they were my idols, and every single day I'd go into the rink and I'd see those two, and it'd just be a shock on my face, like I was seeing a celebrity. And then to be able to kind of put on that jersey and fill into their shoes as like one of those guys truly meant a lot.
I asked this question last, but I'm going to ask it again here because you're only a couple years removed. A lot of these seniors that just graduated and are going to training camp this August, they played against you. They remember you. So what advice would you be able to give them now that you've made that move? You've moved away from home, living with billet families, I'm going to assume, and you've been traded a couple of times. You've had some adversity. What's some advice you could give those seniors that are going to camp this month?
I'd say overall, the biggest thing is probably just having confidence in yourself. You're going to be told so much different stuff throughout the year, like promise playing time, promise this, like a lot of stuff's going to be said to you, and stuff's not going to happen. But overall, you just really got to stay mentally strong and just really believe in yourself and what you can do, and eventually it'll come out.
Cam, I always like to ask guys this question, and I'm going to ask you as well. Somebody's watching right now. They're playing here. They're playing there. I don't want to disrespect anybody, any league or anything. I just want to talk about how great this league is and how great it is. What a wonderful family it is in this MHSAA hockey family. But what would you tell a young player about the benefits for playing for your hometown team?
There's a lot of benefits. Just overall being like the center of, it's up here, it's different, where literally playing hockey in these three towns you're the center of attention, really. And getting to go out there every day in front of the community and kind of show like what you like as a team you are and everything, it's really, really great. And like, obviously there's some kids that take the AAA route, and up here there's definitely a difference where we don't really have that option. But the high school hockey up here, it's really great. So, like, I mean, I honestly don't have anything bad to say about it at all. And everything that I went through in high school hockey, like, I would recommend it over and over again. It was the most fun I've ever had. Like, playing with your friends, playing for your school, the people that at school, the people you see at school, and then you see them up in the stands cheering for you, cheering for your team, and truly just playing with your best buddies and going out there and getting to represent the school that you go to. It means everything, and it meant everything to me.
We've talked a lot about the hockey community out there in Houghton and what that team means to them. And you grew up with them, saying going to watch your dad coach, idolizing Ray, idolizing Connor, watching these guys play. What did it mean that senior year, not only to put that jersey on and walk out there, but to have the C on that jersey, and then to round it out by bringing home the first ever Mr. Hockey?
Yeah, I mean, it meant a lot. Truly, would have meant a lot more if we brought home a state championship. But no, like, the whole year, it was truly, honestly, like a movie. Every single day was such a blast. Going to the rink, I knew how good we were the entire year, and it went by super fast, but it was truly the most fun I've ever had playing a sport.
Isn't that awesome? Yeah. Classy guy as well. Like, I can attest to that. Cam, we wish you nothing but the best. We'll talk to your dad again in just a second, but really appreciate you giving us your time, and continued success to you. I think I can speak for a lot of people out there. We'll be following your career with great interest.
All right. Thank you guys for all.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. Hey, Micah, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention one of your players from just last year. Pretty cool story, heading over to Austria. I mean, what a great story that is, Micah. We'd be remiss if we didn't talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, like, when you think about why you coach, just today, Connor Hannan, we're talking about, got to Klagenfurt, Austria, and sent some pictures from the rink. Just so excited to be there. Just an incredible experience. If he never plays hockey after this year, it was the most amazing experience of his life, and he's excited. They've got him set up in a top-notch situation there. His coach is Marco Casper, Peter Casper's dad, for the Wings draft pick there, which Tom Bissett was the big connection there, that made this all possible for Connor, and another player, that one of Tom's kids, JP.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the pictures he sent and the excitement that he has. It just makes you so happy for him, and he's paving the way for possibly other Michigan high school players, and is going to have some great stories to tell.
True story. Mike, I hope you don't mind me saying this. Somebody reached out to us and asked us about the top defenseman. We were sitting about 5 feet away. And you know what we both said immediately? We were like, Connor, immediately, honestly, we both did. And Coach Bissett goes, yeah, that's a really good choice. And the rest is history. I think the play speaks for itself. And Corey, this is something that we say time and time again. And my goodness gracious, I remember talking to you about it 10 years ago, the first time we talked. I can't believe it's over 10 years ago, but it's a fact that needs to be repeated. If you can play, scouts are going to find you. There's word of mouth. There's this coach is going to call that coach, or this media member, or something like that. If you can play, we're going to find you at this level.
Yes, and that keeps growing. I think the biggest thing is the preseason has gotten way bigger now. The MDHL has gotten a lot bigger. Guys around here are playing in the fall leagues. You have a lot of high school coaches that are scouts for other teams. Coach Stipich has been scouting for many years and helping guys move on, and Coach Mitchell, and so there's a lot of scouts, and 100%, if you're good enough, they are going to find you. There's no doubt.
Coach Stipich, we would be remiss. I know Coach Markham just talked about it. Your experience with the MDHL. We're lucky We get to see you during the season. Maybe we get to go up to Houghton. Then we see you with the MDHL. You came over. We had a little barbecue. Open invite for you guys. You know that anytime you're in the neighborhood. But certainly, Micah, talk about that experience coaching with the MDHL and watching some of the best in the state of Michigan.
Yeah, to be a part of something like that. And I really think that pre-post experience is a key to helping move our brand further, being able to have the top players come together after the season and then go against top players from other states in front of a ton of scouts. And that's just so important in my mind. For me as a coach, getting to rub shoulders with other coaches and enjoying talking to the players. I'll ask players. I mean, I remember asking one of our defensemen who won a state championship playing football, Jackson Lumen Christie, tell me about your coach, and so selfishly, I've learned a lot from the kids. And then to be able to contribute to what we're doing and be a part of it from the UP, being a coach from the Upper Peninsula, that it's a huge honor to be a part of that. So nothing but good things to say about that. And Don Wright, who has really been the driving force behind so many good things in Michigan. I'm just thankful and excited about where it's going next.
All right, I got the one question that I ask all the coaches, and I'm going to start with Corey because I've got to say you have raised a great young man in Cam. From the time we were up there and he looked us in the eye, shook our hand, Sean, he answered all of our questions and took all the time, even though I'm sure he was wanted in that locker room to talk to us. So I got to give you props to that. Just a great young man there. And then the question. Oh, you are welcome. Then the question is, if you had one thing that you could change or add into Michigan high school hockey to either make the product better or get more eyes on our players to move them to juniors, what would it be?
Micah, you better start thinking because I know he's going to follow up with you next too.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, I've seen some of the other podcasts, and many great ideas like Doug Garrow, the big proponent of the Minnesota way of doing things, which is, the part of that I like about that is, you're not going down for just one game to the state finals. That's the tough part. 2 years ago, we got devastated in the semifinals, but then it's just, your semifinals, you're done. If you had a quarter semi and you have consolation games, it wouldn't be just a 1 game deal. So that's pretty interesting and something that can maybe happen in the future. Other than that, I really believe like this team Michigan, has really grown to where that is like one of the biggest stepping stones for kids in our high school hockey. When you can make that team and then get out to Minnesota. The 2 years my son was involved, like I couldn't say enough good things. The coaches that are involved put in so much time, and then the eyes you get from all the scouts just mean the world. But I can't say something off the top of my head to change it. I really think this trajectory, the social media, from when I started coaching, 25 years ago, there were so many teams we had no idea about downstate, like zero idea. And now we have a great idea of what everyone is like throughout the state. But when we get down there, we have great scouting reports, we have video, we have all this stuff. That never happened back in the old days at all. And so it is growing, and you guys are a big help with that. But I couldn't give you an exact detail on what needs to change.
I think you did a great job by talking about some of the things that we do have, such as Team Michigan. So, Mike, I hope you were taking some notes and you're ready for it. The same question at you. Is there anything that you would tweak to maybe make the product a little bit better to, as you said, move the brand?
Yeah, I mentioned the pre-post stuff and really pouring into our high-end players that will help bring everybody up and give them opportunities and give them a reason to stay in high school hockey and not feel like they have to leave, and do the best that we can with what we have in our unique situation in Michigan. With Team Wisconsin, I think is a good comparison to some of the things that they've done and playing in the Elite League, the Minnesota Elite League. So from the development standpoint, I think that's important. And then from the other standpoint is our brand of Michigan high school hockey. And you guys are probably the biggest boost to our brand. And we can do more with that. And in my opinion, our state tournament is the biggest opportunity. And the quality of how we promote it, how we sell it, how we run it, all of those things, the better you can get it. That is the showcase for what we are. And it is in Minnesota. And that is an opportunity that I hope we continue to try to make everything from the build up to it to the broadcast of it better and better, and promote our brand and what we have.
Two of the classiest guys. We could sit here for the next 3 hours and talk to these guys, but we are shortly running out of time. Before we go, two things. I got to tell you, we're meeting our mutual friend Jimmy Young in Milwaukee in a couple weeks. We're going to a Brewers game, so if you guys all want to meet up the night beforehand, we can figure out some specifics. And Mike, I don't know if you know this, Coach Markham, I want to wish you and your family, your daughter, and certainly her husband to be all the best. Mike, Corey's little girl is getting married.
Oh, congratulations.
I don't envy that moment, Coach, because I'm going to be a blithering idiot and I'm going to be sobbing harder than anybody in the room. And somebody's going to have to help me down the aisle. But certainly, congratulations to your daughter and her husband to be.
Yeah, thank you. It is going to be a super emotional weekend this coming weekend. When I think about it, I start getting a little welled up. So it's going to be really tough, but it's super happy. And she happens to be marrying a former captain that played for me, Kevin Bostic, who graduated in 2019. So another hockey player joining the family. So another son. So that's exciting.
So cool. Hey, continued success to you guys. Can't wait to see you during the course of the season. Coach Stipich, Mike and I have already talked about it, so we want to get out to the east side or the west side to see the Grand Rapids tournament. Then we want to go up and see you. Then we want to see you down in Trenton, and then we'd love to see you around playoff time as well. But let's not put the cart in front of the horse. Continued success to you guys. I say it all the time. The nicest guys, the classiest guys, and I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you very much for having us on.
Anytime. Once again, two great guys, Mike. Glad to say I got to know them both. Consider both of them friends. And I'm not joking when I say this to all of you out there. If you get an opportunity, go up to Houghton. You'll thank me for it later. Not only is it a great community, but certainly a fantastic historical building, Mike.
Oh, you walk in and you smell the history. I think that's the comment I make every time I walk in there. And like thinking of it now, I can't wait to walk back into that building.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. I know right before Christmas, that Heartland game, keep an eye on that. You might be able to check that on the State Champs Network. For Mike Iavasile, my name is Sean Baligian. We want to thank once again all those great folks from Houghton and Blake. How about the shout out to Blake as well? Blake? That made me happy. I think that made Blake happy as well. Most importantly, the great folks with the Michigan High School Hockey Coaches Association that have made this possible for everybody involved. My name is Sean Baligian. Until next week, we'll see you.
What the Puck, featuring Sean Baligian. Produced by Todd Losey and Blake Matrazek. Executive produced by Sean Baligian and Todd Losey. Theme song and incidental music by Elliot Middleton. Engineering, mixing, and graphic design support provided by the Unsyndicated podcast team. Don't forget to like and subscribe to What the Puck on all your favorite channels. While you're there, be sure to rate and review the podcast. Got something to say to Sean? Call the Unsyndicated hotline at 248-237-3257.